paper and pen.
It's probably because you were watching it on like 10 different streams.
No, look, you can see people's comments from different channels
nice.
here.
And we're live.
Smart. Hey, everyone. I'm like,
Hey guys, we're back again.
We're live.
There's
We're
comment from
back.
YouTube.
hey,
We're back, everyone. Yeah.
All
So
right.
we've just been talking about copywriting,
Copywriting
and why
and,
it's
yeah.
why it's important to figure out your target audience, and
Yeah.
and if you've not figured out your target, if you figured out your target audience, how to actually talk to them the best way by writing or posting or even is there an element of copywriting in video, like in video delivery and what you're saying on video? Does that also play a big part?
You know what? You'll see not a lot of difference between the copy that you speak and the copy that you write. As a matter of fact, one of the tips that I've learned over the years is to read your copy out loud. It's like reading a book out loud, because what happens is when people read content, they're actually listening to it in their heads. Like if you want to think about it or not, like when you're reading something, you have your own voice inside that's actually listening to the words that are being spoken.
Right.
So if you are writing things down, and here's the thing, don't read it back yourself. Like have your wife or somebody who doesn't even know what you're talking about.
That's a great point. Yeah. My husband and I would do the same thing. Yes.
Yeah, if you have somebody read it who doesn't really even know what you're talking about, like it's so much different when you hear it back.
Yeah.
It's like,
So if it's like, is it simple enough that they can somebody?
first off, make sure that all your content is in like 7th, 8th grade writing level. You shouldn't be, you shouldn't have to whip out a thesaurus to understand what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And that's what's really important, guys, is understanding, who you're talking to and how you can relate to them. And you want to use the language that they speak. Now, if I'm going to go speak at a university, I'm going to speak differently than I'm going to speak to this room.
Yeah,
Right?
of
course.
your family or friends.
So I think that's one of the most, the best skill you can learn is how to be malleable.
Yeah.
Oh, big word.
Malleable.
How to be
Wait a
malleable.
minute.
Oh,
Google.
love
I gotta Google that word.
How can you bend and twist and squish yourself or whatever you have to do to kind of be flexible into the different audiences that you serve?
Yeah, that's great. That's really good.
Great
Awesome.
insights.
It's good to see all these people here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hi, your community is amazing. Lori, Gerard, Mary's the
you.
Jessica Phillips session.
Hi.
Yeah.
Hey, Shelly,
Actually,
Melissa, Sue Ann.
I feel bad I didn't really promote much for this.
No,
month, but
that's
thank
okay.
you so much for
Yeah,
being here.
good to have you guys here.
Kidding me?
And also, let's talk about attending conferences.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
A few things
So
you do.
all of you
Rob's
guys,
trying to get out of it and push it off on me.
No. I know he.
but all
put
of
this
those guys, they have been all over the places and been to so many conferences. So share some tips with us.
Yeah.
Let's begin with before the conference.
Okay.
Oh,
What should we
Before.
do before the conference?
You go
The
first.
conference
Okay,
starts
before I'll go before, during, and after.
And,
Sure.
No.
Let's do it.
No, all together.
Let's
Okay.
do this. Let's do it.
So before, first thing is look up the hashtag of the event. Yeah. So SMMW19 on Twitter. So and then look at where all of the attendees are really active. For this conference, I found that Twitter is really active. Everyone's on Facebook. So follow the hashtag and start connecting with people, and then slide into the DMs. So that's my tip for sure.
oh my God, this guy is amazing. Like DM every day. I
All
receive
professional.
yes, like building connections
Yeah.
and connecting with people. And I really feel like before the conference, you really build that warmth, right? Even before you meet this person, you just feel like even though this is the first time, look, we're hugging each other. Yesterday, it's just so amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
So start messaging, and just connect, and then even use voice messages like on Facebook, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. You can leave voice messages and start doing that. So then it's more personal, and then try to set up times where you can then meet, right? So it's like, hey, do you want to get together? Like me and I were like, hey, let's collaborate together in person with Jeff. Let's film some content together. I know we'll touch on filming content and doing that kind of stuff, I'm sure, with you guys. But so that's my tip. So hashtags and DMs.
And you know what? I want to do a really awesome shout out to this guy. This is a perfect example of how to do this. So last night they invited us to a dinner hosted by Thinkific, and it was awesome. Thanks to the Thinkific team. And
I missed it.
Yeah, you did. You really did miss it. Though. It was amazing. The lamb was off the hook. Anyway,
It was good.
so But what's crazy is I always make an effort, and probably, and I'm not gonna say this might be the reason. You guys like to say it. One of the reasons why I feel like I get invited to events is because they know that I'm gonna be blasting it up, right? Like they know I'm gonna talk about it, right?
No, we just love you, man. We just love you. Yeah.
They just love me. That's why I'm there.
Right.
But for real, one of the things that you can do at these events to get the most out of it is when you're there at group events and things, make sure you take pictures with the people that you're with.
Absolutely.
And it's a great way for you to get connected to them because you say, hey, look, I'm going to post this picture. Let me add you as friends and I'll tag you.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
So that's first and foremost. And if it's a really valuable connection, like, I'm not going to lie, there's been some connections where I'm like, okay, this, there's people at these events that can change your life. That's just, it's just the truth.
Yeah.
And maybe just the Facebook connection isn't enough.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe.
For that point, what do you think about like making face-to-face connections versus going to sessions? Where do you draw the balance? There are also lots of amazing sessions to learn, but also networking is like what we're doing now. We're skipping a session, right? So where do you draw that line?
Yeah, that's a really good question.
I think you have to think about where, what session is going to give you the most value, like benefit or ROI back, or where can that session in particular make a difference or an impact to make you that better marketer or a social media expert. But I think what we're talking about, cultivating relationships, before, during, after, that should always be happening. But I'm a big believer in saying yes, like saying yes to people. If you see opportunities to go again, take photos. If you get an opportunity to come do live streams, don't be afraid just to say, oh, I'm busy, I'm gonna, go do something. Seize the opportunity.
I want to be the devil's advocate. Sometimes it's so powerful to say no.
Maybe.
I think sometimes when I come to these events, there's been lots of sessions and things that I wish that I've gone to that I didn't. And on the reverse side, I wish that I hadn't gone to something because I missed an opportunity to do something else. So I guess the real important thing is, like what Rob was saying in the beginning, look at who's up, look at the lineup, and what, is this something that is really going to be able to impact your business? If not, you should always be trying to get the most out of this. And see, a lot of people, they always tell me, oh, I don't go to these events, such a waste of time, whatever else. You probably hear all these naysayers all the time.
All the time.
And the thing is, though, like, when I go to these events, they're 1,000% worth it. You know why?
Oh, yeah.
And I say 1,000% not as like a joke or like whatever. It's like it's literally exponential growth. Because what happens is when you're with someone like you, or you're with someone like you're with a Thinkific team. You're with I's audience right now, who obviously has an awesome audience. I see all you guys right here. Like this is the fastest way to grow your own network
100%.
is to leverage other people's networks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And of course, if Rob's going to give me some awesome value on Thinkific, and you and Patty and I, like, I'm going to leverage my network to give you visibility, and that's the best way. And if you look at the biggest influencers online, that's how they've become influencers. Is by working with other influencers.
Amplify each other. Exactly.
That's right.
And actually, sincere in helping people. That's that. You have to. You have to
I think it's very easy to tell.
You can tell. Yeah.
I'm just going to throw that out there.
Like basically people here, right?
Well, duh.
And actually, and if there's a lot of you there, like I was talking to Dennis Yu last night, and he's a Facebook ads expert, travels the world and speaks about it. I was like, hey, have you met Azriel? And they're both in the same space. I'm like, hey, it's really cool to see you guys both here, because you guys could look at each other's competitors, but they're like, Dennis Yu's like, it's like looking at the ocean and saying, is there enough water for me? He's like, there's enough for everyone. So don't just connect with people that are like complementary. Connect with the people that are also in your niche, right?
You know what? So I've got this nickname, the King of Outsourcing, and people always laugh when I do stuff with Davin Michaels, right? Who owns one of the biggest outsourcing companies in the world. I'm one of the very first people in Chris Ducker's mastermind, right? Like I've been recruited as a neighbor with Davin Michaels out in Puerto Rico where those guys are at. It's really important to build valuable relationships within your industries, guys, because I feel like one of the things that people do when they go to these conferences and they go to these events is they have this really big freaking ego.
Oh.
Right? You know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
Oh, amen.
They walk around like
give us some likes if you agree.
Yes, and share this.
You better put some likes
met some
on
big
there.
egos at conferences.
Yes, we need a boost.
I just made a Facebook post today, though. And speaking of copywriting again, I just made a Facebook post today saying how I will never get used to people coming up to me at these events and talking to me like they know me, all because of social media. It's really bizarre to me, and people will come up to me, they'll hug me and whatever else, and I'm not going to lie, like, and this isn't from an egocentric place. Like, I have 5,000 friends, I have another 10,000 followers, right? I don't know everybody, right? But it is weird when you put out really good content, guys, everybody knows you. So put that ego down, and when people approach you, just be open and understanding, and understand that you've actually impacted this person's life. You should be so grateful that you've had the opportunity to impact someone's life.
That's awesome. And if people there's always been a beginning to someone's journey, right? And so you've got to help those people. Certainly if they're new and they're trying to, try and look for some
I still feel like I'm new.
Yeah.
I've been in the game for 2 years. I feel like every day I wake up, like, man, that was incredible. Every time I come to these events, I'm like, why wasn't I thinking of that?
Yeah.
Right?
I really love the point you guys made in terms of collaborating with people within our industry. So did you ever have any fear? Like, oh my God, we're in the same industry, we're like kind of competing with each other. So how do you overcome that? Or it's just like...
I think it goes back to what, Dennis, you told Rob last night at dinner, which is the ocean's big enough, and I feel like if you feel like you really you can't have a relationship with someone because they're a competitor, maybe it's more of a self-reflection of your own self-worth. Maybe it's an internal battle you have with yourself that you're not good enough, that this person's better than you, and that you can't compete. I love working with my competitors. I refer a lot of business to my competitors that aren't a good fit. I think it's really important to have a specific niche that you work with. That way you're not really always trying to fight over the same people in the first place.
That's important.
It's really good.
Well, you guys have that all the time at Thinkific, right? You have course creators. You probably have a million Facebook ads courses on there, whatever.
I mean, it's like if you guys look at your own like behaviors, even with like, let's say YouTube, right? Like, so if you're following, a particular vlogger that's like traveling Asia, you're not just following one vlogger in Asia. You're probably following a whole bunch, like probably several vloggers. So it's the same thing. So if someone's like a Facebook ads expert, you're following them. You're probably following a couple of them. And even if they both launch courses, you're probably going to purchase both courses, right? So there's no real competition in that sense, right? Because people aren't just like buying one thing, so.
And you know what? Hey, let's say you're that guy or that girl who feels like everyone's competitor. Well, even more reason why you should be here.
Right.
Because then you can see what your competitors are doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So either way, it's a win.
Exactly.
But I like the point about referring business, and it's true. You've got to, because you just don't know. You could get that client, you could get another client back. But again, that could be the turning point. Could be a game changing part of your business.
Absolutely.
It could bring a whole new revenue, a new customer. You just don't know. So it's important to cultivate these relationships for the long term.
Yeah. And
don't just, it's not you use once
and go.
Give us some examples. You guys have been here for so many years, Thinkific, and you guys are like really good collaborating, bring people together. Share with us some examples.
I think like collaboration. So I think be someone that introduces other people to each other. Don't be like, 100%. Hey, I just want to know Jeff. I'm just gonna like own Jeff. So
Mine Jeff.
So introduce Jeff.
Here,
and ask people like, hey, who are you looking to meet at these conferences? Because I might know someone. Then people remember that. Like, hey,
they really do.
Yeah,
that's one of the things I remember about you the most, Rob. Is that like as soon as we started doing some work, we started doing some work together. Rob was like, hey, I want you to introduce you to so and so. I want you to introduce you to so and so. And I think that's really valuable. And the saying that your network is your net worth.
Oh, amen.
Right?
Yes.
It really is true. And that's the one thing that if I look back on where I was like 3 years ago to where I am today, the only thing that's really changed is my network. I'm still doing the same type of work, right? I mean, I may have different people, I may have different products, but it's still the same mission, right? And I think that the people that you serve is different. I feel like we evolve. As a company, like who do we serve? And I feel like that's a really hard pain point for people to solve is like, who is our perfect target audience?
Yeah,
Who's our perfect client?
Right.
And I think that that's one of the reasons why getting to these events really works, because you can validate and test a lot of the ideas you have in your head.
Yeah.
And you have to get out of that validation phase in your business quick. Right?
Right.
So I think that's a perfect segue.
That's really good.
I think that's a perfect segue into where you were getting at after, which is, okay, before the event, Rob gave you guys a bunch of tips on how you can look at who's on the hashtags, who's coming to the event. I noticed Rob and I did that, and you did that too. You too.
Yeah.
We all made a post that, hey, who's coming to social media marketing world, right?
Yeah.
And all of our friends that were coming were like, hey, me. And then a lot of people said, no, not me. But I wanted to segue back to what I was saying with Rob. When I posted a picture last night of the dinner, and I tagged a bunch of people, there was somebody who was like, "Don't cry."
Next time, promise. You can come for the we've got the biking thing. The biking thing.
The biking thing. We're still waking up.
After I tagged all these, actually, after I took the picture, I tagged Rob. There was a lot of people in there I didn't know, and Rob actually went through on my picture and he tagged all the other people on my picture. And of course, I got 1 million friend requests, right?
Oh wow!
And then what's beautiful? And then Rob says, "Hey, thanks for coming to the dinner. It was really great to connect with you. Let's connect again. Let's collab." We already connected. Here we are today. And what's really interesting too is that he did work for his business. You, as a business owner, you have an obligation to your business to grow that business. And Rob took action because one of my people in my network said, "Hey, that's cool. I like Thinkific, what they're doing. That's pretty interesting." And asked me about what I thought of the platform. And I told him, and then Rob popped in and he said, "Yeah, I said I like the certification part of it." Right. And then Rob was like, popped in and said, "Hey, man, I'd love to give you a tour and show you around." Added him as a friend. They're probably going to connect, and he's going to show him around. Like, that's a really great way to make the most use out of these events is the follow-up. The follow-up is so key.
100%.
If I think about how many times somebody's come up to me and just dropped off the friggin' proverbial business card, right? You get the business card.
You guys, I won't give a card.
Yeah, it's like
this is awkward.
What's up, guys? Let's see some of my people up on here.
Hey, Andre.
Hey, Vicky. Hey. How you doing? How you doing, Suzanne? And we've used like video messaging as a great way to just to reach out to people, and it's super simple now, everyone. It really, really is. Like there's a guy that I follow on YouTube, Miles Beckler, who's doing some amazing content, and I've been the biggest fan of his for a long time. And I thought, you know what, sod it, screw it. I'm gonna just drop him a video message. It was me on the computer, and I was like, "Hey, Miles. First of all, huge fan of your channel. Second of all, we're doing a Facebook Live series, every day, which you've been part of as well, Jeff. And we just want to see, could you, we'd love to give you some attention and obviously help out our, 13,000, 14,000 plus course creators. And, if you don't want to, that's cool, and I'll still be a subscriber, but give me a shout when you're free for a quick chat."
What happened?
2 minutes later, 2 minutes later, email straight back, and he's like, "Hey, dude, what a great message. Yeah, let's do it.
Whatever you need.
Whatever you need."
Yeah.
And I was just really the power of video, the power of having that personal message, and not,
absolutely.
Email. There's always a great time and place for a well copywritten.
Even your video, right? Crafting that message in your head, right?
Exactly.
I mean, and you know what? I'm not going to lie. Patty's done that to me twice.
He still hasn't called me back.
He leaves. I'm not gonna lie. He sent me the video message, and I was like, "Oh, that's really nice."
But
Next time.
Well, we're here.
I just see the scene and then the double tick.
You're in the red
I'm like,
zone.
okay, and I see the dot, and then it's like Jeff is now flying.
But I really want to talk about this point you guys mentioned about being using video. This year at the conference, so many people talk to me. I love video content, and do you guys have to overcome the fear of being in front of camera, or just no problem?
Yeah, of course.
So share with us. I know, some of my friends join us live from YouTube, different places. Many of you guys, and including myself, have that fear of, oh my God, I'm live, people are watching me. What if this? What if that? So give us some tips, guys.
I think you I think do the
besides
first video.
looking awesome, right?
Just do the first video, and don't, it's easy said and done to not get into that perfectionist trap, that perfectionist zone, but just do the first video. Like, even if it's a really short video, even if it's just you maybe speaking one paragraph, or just saying who you are, introducing yourself, just do that one video and just get it out there. Hey guys, everything Gippy. I'm posting my first video, and love to hang out virtually with you guys. So give me a shout sometime. Keep it really light. And
so I'm going to give 3 tips that I wish I would have learned 2 years ago.
This is the real concept.
Okay.
Number one.
Pay attention, guys.
Get your notes.
All right. So before I give you the 3, I'm gonna tell you why people struggle with video, because it's important to understand why you struggle with it before I give you the plan on how to do it. The reason why people struggle, and this isn't just video, this is public speaking. This is approaching someone of the opposite sex or same sex. Okay, this is like the oldest problem ever documented in mankind. Okay, this is the story that was written on the cave wall. All right, it's all about confidence. Okay, and you can overcome not having confidence in doing something by building competence. Okay, competence trumps that confidence. All you have to worry about, guys.
Oh, I love that.
You can drop the mic.
Drop.
Oh, I'm dropping it.
Keep going.
But in all reality, the more that you do something, the better you get. Now, this is funny. I hired a coach almost 3 years ago now to help me do video because I sucked at it, and now I love video. And it's funny. Think of it like this. Let's say you're on the basketball court, right? Filipinos, I know you love basketball. All right, even though he's Canadian. but they love basketball. For those international crowd, let's just use soccer. Everyone knows what soccer is. So if you go out on the soccer field, the first time you do something, you're gonna suck, right? And it really sucks to get off that bench and go out there and look horrible on the soccer field, right? But the more times you do it, the better you get. Once in a while, you'll get lucky. You'll score a goal. You'll feel a little more confident in what you do. Next thing you know, you're dribbling that ball. It's going between people's legs. You're shooting a big goal.
Yeah, right.
It's like consistency, right? So when you have consistent competence, that creates confidence. The confidence allows you to do anything, right? So before you go live, before you do any public speaking or anything, one, you should already know what you're going to talk about. It's unbelievable how many people go live and I'm sitting there like, what the heck am I watching this
talking
for?
about? Yeah.
Right?
Amen.
Right?
It's
Make
true.
sure you have something. Here's a cool trick you can do to do that. Get yourself a whiteboard or sticky note. Get a sticky note, put it by the webcam of 3 things you're going to talk about.
Nice.
Oh,
Okay?
amen.
There it is. There's 3 things that you're going to talk about. The second thing is you have to develop good stories that relate to your people. And this is why that's the copywriter in me. That's why I love to have stories. A good friend of mine, Dan Clark, he's a mentor of mine. If you don't know who Dan Clark is, you guys should look him up. The guy's a legend. He's one of the best public speakers ever. He's met everyone. Everyone knows him. But Dan Clark, he's also a contributor for the Chicken Soup for the Soul book series. So, but I saw him last year, and I was completely mind blown because I was hanging out in the VIP little speaker room, and it was 10 minutes before he went up to speak. And you know what? I was so excited. I went up there to shamelessly get my book signed. I had 2 of his books I wanted him to sign. But before I asked him, I wanted to say something nice.
Yeah, of course.
Hey, I'm excited to see you speak today. What are you going to talk about? And that's when he blew my mind. And he said, I don't know yet.
Really?
Wow.
And I was like, you're going up for literally the closing spot. It's a 60-minute spot.
Really?
A 60-minute spot. And he didn't know what he was going to talk about. So that of course intrigued me. So I said, okay, I don't get it.
Yeah.
And he asked me if I was a public speaker. Of course I'm like, no. I'm like, I speak a little bit, but not really. And he said, well, let me give you some advice. He says, never go up on stage with your little preset PowerPoint slides. Now for me, I'm like, yikes! I had my PowerPoint slides ready. I was going down.
He's like, I'm just going to put that back.
Yeah. But what was really interesting is that he says it's really important to rehearse really powerful stories. And think of it like golf clubs. Think of it like golf clubs. You don't know if the person before you don't know how that person's day was. You don't know how about the person who's about to watch your video. You don't know how you're going to impact them. He likes golf, obviously, from his golf analogy. But he said the person before you might have just hit that ball in the sand and you might have a driver ready to hit that ball 270 yards, but you're only going to be able to work in the sand, and that driver's not going to work. So you have to have a collection of stories that you use so that you can actually be prepared, something that relates to your audience that you can adapt. There's that word malleable again, right? And the third thing is never, ever, ever introduce yourself on a video. Don't introduce yourself on a video.
What do you mean?
Oh, snap. I should have done that one first. That would have blown your minds, but this would blow your minds. That's why I did this three.
Explain, elaborate on
All
that.
right. First off, people don't care about who you are.
Okay.
They really don't, right? Unless you're Kim Kardashian, then they don't care who you are.
Jeff Hunter, the king of outsourcing.
You remember the most important, if people aren't watching your videos, remember what I said earlier about copywriting. The most important part of your video is that first 5-6 seconds. How are you going to capture someone's attention so they don't tune off and keep scrolling the Facebook feed, right? Or whatever platform you're on. The truth is, you want to make sure that you've got a really catchy title, something that you're going to prove to them. For example, for this one right here, it would be like 3 ways to make the most out of every event. Or stop wasting your time at events. Do this instead, right?
Oh, I love that because it really evoke emotions because I can feel, some fear and like, what am I missing out?
It's super duper important to give people, think of your people, your listeners, your readers, your followers, whatever they are, they're on for the same purpose as you and I, to grow ourselves. Everybody just wants to grow, right? So give them a hint of what you're going to talk about and don't give away what you're going to tell them, otherwise they don't watch it. Don't tell them the tips. How many times I see someone who writes a post of like, hey, watch this video. In this video, I'm going to teach you this, this, and this. I'm like, well, now I don't need to watch the video.
So just talk about the benefit.
That's it.
And then talk about the how in the video. Yeah.
So what about for a live thing? Like when you go live, you immediately say the hook, I guess.
You know what? The very first thing you do when you get into a live video is you address the replay watchers.
Yeah, say thanks for watching this replay.
Seriously?
You know why? Because when you first go live, the people who are watching your video come on later.
Yeah.
30 seconds, minute later. In the very beginning, the only people that see those 30 minutes or 30 seconds to a minute is the people that are watching the replay. Right? The people that watch the replay. So say, hey, here's a perfect example of an intro then. Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning on. I'm going to show you 3 ways that you can make the best out of every event you ever go to so that you can leave and have confidence that you're going to have some really great results. Hey, I'm really happy that you're here. If you're here, I'm really excited. If you are here for the replay, I want you to type #replay because I want to make sure that I answer all of your questions and anything that you ask, I'm ready to rock and roll, okay? So if you're here for the replay, you guys, I care about you and I'm ready to rock and roll, okay? Go.
I need to hire this guy. I need to hire this guy. To run my Facebook live. Seriously, you need to do that. That is so good.
We're done here.
So if you want to find, this is Jeff pre-selling his next course about how to get the most out of it.
So amazing. Yeah.
Technical.
So good.
But so many great points. It reminds me of a podcast interview I did this morning.
Yeah.
And this person was saying that, when you are introducing yourself, people don't really care about what you do. But the problems you are solving reminds me of what Jeff just mentioned,
I like what Vicky O'Neill just said. I just read that. You're setting expectations, right?
Oh, I love that.
You're setting expectations, and people like that. People want to know why the heck they should watch something.
Yeah.
Why they should read something.
Yeah, why should I be here?
You get the point of the day, Vicky. That's it, right there.
You know what? Yeah.
You set expectations, and this is the same. So I come from the corporate world. I absolutely am happy not to be in it anymore. But there are many things that I really miss about the corporate world, like agendas. When you go into a meeting, you know what you're there for.
Yeah.
And it feels like in the entrepreneurial world, people just come up to you and they're like, hey, dude, let's connect. Let's talk and stuff. And I'm like, well, what exactly do you want to talk about? Yeah. Like, I almost feel like I want to be the D-bag that's like, send me an agenda and we'll review it.
Yeah. So, we'll have a meeting about the meeting.
So, so for me, setting expectations, having hey, here's the 3 things we're going to talk about, and just be very vague so that you don't give them all the candy in the beginning, right? Like, what's the famous thing? Why buy the cow when you get the milk for free? right? It's the same type of thing.
True.
Just you got to live them on. You got to lead them on. You got to give a little curiosity. You got to give a little bit of edge. You got to give people a reason. You have to be interesting. Okay, if you want people to be interested in you, then you have to be interesting.
I love that.
There you go.
I love that. I love that. How about this? Nowadays people have this. I have to do one video a day or write something every single day, and sometimes I feel the content is really not good. So, do you recommend that? Just like keep the momentum every day. Just produce something. Don't really care about quality. Just go. Or maybe I'm now doing this on a daily basis, but I'm making sure my quality is good. This is something I struggle with, so enlighten us.
Yeah.
I wrote, well, I didn't personally write, but I posted 3,764 Facebook posts last year.
Wow, it's amazing.
Okay? And by the way, every one of them got really good results. The ones that didn't get results, I just deleted anyway. So you're not going to find any. Okay? Now, it was a part of a grand experiment, but I found out something very interesting. Consistency is really important online. Okay? Consistency, I would say anywhere. Whether you're a guy selling shoes on the street or vacuum cleaners or you have an online business or an e-com store.
Yep.
Whatever it is, consistency is really important. And the more that people see you, the more that people recognize you. You're not going to be able to build a brand if you don't take your brand seriously. So every time you post online is the ability to tear down or build up your brand. So onto your content question, I think it's important to have quality content. I think it's very important, but it's not a hard thing to do, guys.
Maybe not for you.
No, it's easy.
Okay.
Guys, if you are just starting out, if you're like, look, I want to do more posting, but I just don't know where to start, one of the things you can do is just think about why do people wake up every day, right? Like, why do they wake up every day? Think about it. Like, this is a serious question. Why do you wake up?
I want to create positive changes in other people's lives through the content I'm producing.
And you?
Yeah, I want to help as many people as possible.
Oh, isn't that an altruistic view? Really? You know what? People want to make money. Okay,
by helping them.
And they have the Thinkific sweaters on here. And Napoleon Hill had a good point. He says that the fastest way to help yourself is to help others.
Absolutely.
Right? And I agree with that 100%. But you also have to think about how can you help someone? Okay. By the way, you guys already knew the answer. It's by helping people. Yep. So how can you on Facebook or YouTube or Twitter or Instagram or whatever the heck you're on, whatever the next big thing is, how can you consistently help people every day? Sometimes it's just realizing stuff about themselves through your stories. We all have amazing stories. We all just suck at saying them. We all suck at writing them. Yeah. So work on writing those stories and developing those stories, like Dan Clark said.
Yep.
And those really come back. They really help you in every situation in your life, whether it's at a car dealership, right, or on a podcast, you're talking on stage. Yep. You're always going to have great stories. And the reason why I've been able to drop the mic so many times here because these are all stories that I've already had.
Yeah.
These stories I'm telling you guys, they're my stories. I've had these forever.
But I think there's a lot to be said about practice and doing the reps of daily, or like regular, maybe not daily, every couple days, but like doing that. That's how you get better. With telling your stories, you're getting it out there, being in front of camera.
How good are you at brushing your teeth?
Okay.
Yeah.
Every day.
You get a lot of practice at it.
Yeah,
right?
you got a lot of
practice. I feel like it has become your identity, right? And then you feel like when you are not doing this, you feel like you are missing out. Like today, my day is now complete. So I feel that's what we need, right? Like brushing our teeth. If we're not brushing, just feel like it's not part of my identity.
And let me ask you, here's another question. Are you only brushing the outside of your teeth? Do you only care what people see? Right? Are you dirty inside? Like a lot of people. It's really weird though, because I feel like just like we talked about, like the people that are here for not that genuine purposes, right? Social climbers, guys. We all have social climbers in our network. Okay, it's really easy to spot because it's that brushing their teeth on the outside only thing. Yeah. Like when they post something, it's always about themselves, right? always about themselves. It's very rare. You know, they're going to talk about how awesome they are, results they've got for the clients. And if you go down, go down through my Facebook feed, I'm asking questions too.
Yeah,
think about good questions, guys. Just today, I made a Facebook post, and of course, I have a copywriting course, so I make a post asking people how important copywriting is to the business, the ability to actually sell somebody through reading your words. And right now, I think my pulls up to like 87% say copywriting is really important, right?
So it's like a way to validate maybe something that you're also building, the product.
Foreshadowing.
A lot of things. Yeah. So,
guys, if you have a product or service to sell, foreshadowing, because guess what I can do? I can now use that Facebook post and I can say, guys, 87% of you guys said that copywriting is super important to your business, yet you're not willing to invest in becoming a better copywriter. Riddle me that.
And it's also like you're almost putting awareness to that. Now I'm like, well, is it like, how is my copywriting? Now you're thinking, maybe that's something I do need. Hey, Jeff, do you have a service or a product or something?
Yeah.
Something I wanted to ask. We're going to go back just a moment to talk about the amount of times that you post. Now, we had the benefit of having Avi Aria come into the Thinkific HQ, and when we were talking to him, he said, challenge yourself for the first 90 days to post even 3 times a day, a couple of times a day. How does that? And based on everything you just said, then how does that really fit in terms of the quantity? And he's a guy who's got a huge social media following. He's been able to prove those results as well. How do you find that balance?
I mean, I have just so you guys, I have a huge team. I've got 70 people that work with me all around the world, and 2 of the people on my team, their only job last year was to do this experiment with me. Yeah. And not just record all my Facebook posts, but to categorize them. Short post, long post, image, no image, video, no video, video with captions, video with no captions. Finding out the exact type of content that worked best in my market.
You went deep.
Oh, I went super deep.
Deep.
Wow.
And super smart. Wow, that's amazing piece of advice.
Well, the thing is, and you don't have to do that, guys. There's a tool called Viral Stat. I think it's $10 a month or something like that. And it will, if you have a Facebook page, right, Facebook page or Instagram, I know a lot of people are huge on Instagram, it will track all the engagement on all your Instagram posts, how many people comment, your average engagement per post. It'll get all these stats. And I know that's really geeky, and for those of you who don't really give a rat's, you know what? The truth of the matter is the more you post, the more visibility that you get. That's what I've learned.
The algorithms.
Speaking of that, I just learned on Instagram, the more you engage with people through DM, the more your stories are more likely going to show up.
That's the same on Facebook. That's the same on Twitter.
Okay.
It's
everywhere,
the same.
probably.
So part of the algorithm is, hey, if I'm messaging then we also obviously have a close connection.
Yes.
And if you didn't notice, Facebook just made an announcement. Mark Zuckerberg made a 3,200-word post about his commitment to the security of Facebook and the future of tight connections, secure connections. Yeah. So that's why for 2 years I've been a Facebook Power Admin. I've been working with Facebook and their development team on Facebook groups. I know that right now that's one of their premier products they're pushing besides Facebook. Facebook Spaces, which is Oculus. Oculus is coming out with a new one, by the way. But right now, Facebook Groups is huge. And if you guys haven't used the Facebook Groups, guys, the features have been so good now. Yeah. They've got learning modules inside there.
Oh, I love that.
If I ever do a Facebook Live and I have a companion guide with it, I just throw it in there,
Absolutely.
right? And people are like, "Oh my God, that's so awesome!" Right?
Yeah.
And you have the ability to do live video with PowerPoint presentations and stuff, and they really want to build community. And I think what I'm circling back here on is the point of doing content is to do that. It's to build a community. It's to really, if people see your content, that's great. What you want to do though is how do you create content that creates community?
Right.
How do you build engagement so that people are like, yeah, that's right. When I see people commenting on my post and other commenters are commenting on other comments, I'm like, I've done my job, right? I'm starting a discussion.
Fostering conversations,
that's right.
Meaningful conversations.
Meaningful conversations. And I have weird people come up to me and tell me, and not weird people, but I have weird people come up to me and tell me that they follow me on Facebook, like, see first. And I'm like, I'm still not used to that, but it's like people see me first on Facebook when they log in.
That's
I had somebody tell me they log in for their dose of me, and then they log out. And I'm just like, what?
Highest compliment ever on
But it's
social
so,
media.
it's
But
so
you are
weird.
my see first. You are my see first.
Oh,
there
yeah.
you go.
Yeah,
Well,
you
you're on
are.
mine too. I'm not gonna lie. Oh, here is a great idea. Back to the events because we keep getting sidetracked. Guys,
Don't
You-
worry, we're
you-
not going live for like 8 hours.
Okay.
Yeah,
There's
only,
no rush.
only 8 hours.
There's no rush.
so Rob said earlier that my responsibility was to talk about the follow-up for these
Yeah, there you
things,
go.
Okay? So here's a great way to do follow-up on these events. So I already told you guys about how to tag photos with people's picture in it when you take the photos with them. Obviously, if you see people in someone else's photos, start tagging them, right? Because that's going to build big cred for you as well. But secondly, when it comes to the follow-up, guys, if it's a really big connection that you want to get, because remember I said that some of the connections here can change your life, sometimes a Facebook connection is not enough, and you need to slide into their DMs, and you need to get on their phone.
But
You need to get on their phone.
What's the reason, though?
Yeah.
Well,
You need
here-
a reason.
Are you ready for the reason?
Yeah, yeah.
Here's what you do, right? Because earlier you just got done. Let me address this one to you. So earlier you talked about the sacrifice between going to an event and doing a networking thing,
Yes,
or
yes.
not, and building a relationship. What if I said you can do both?
Oh, love
Okay.
that. Yes.
Here's what I did. There was a really great speaker at the last event. I was at Traffic Conversion Summit, right?
Okay.
Just a couple weeks ago, and there was a speaker up there at Internet Marketing Party that I've been trying to connect with for 2 years. He's a copywriter that I look up to. Okay, his name's Craig. He's awesome. He spoke at the Internet Marketing Party, and before that was, I think it was Ty Lopez and whoever else. I mean, this is a big party, Internet Marketing Party.
Yep.
And I've been trying. I heard that from 2.5 years ago that Craig was one of the best copywriters in the world,
Wow.
and I wanted to connect with him. I sent him a Facebook message,
Yeah.
and of course, it showed up in his other box. He never saw me.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But what I did was I took awesome photos of him speaking at that event.
Oh, that's such a great
Okay.
idea.
I took awesome photos of him speaking at the event. And then I went up to him afterwards when everyone else was trying to get their selfies, whatever else. I said, hey, Craig, I really enjoyed your talk. I just wanted you to know I took some really great photos of you. And if you go ahead and accept my friend request, I'd actually be able to send those to you.
Oh,
And I kind of
that's-
guilt-tripped him a little bit, right?
That's just amazing.
gotta be
And
something.
and a few seconds later,
Ah.
after he saw my photos, he went and actually added me as a friend, right?
Amazing.
So if you want to start building valuable relationships, well, you need to be valuable to that relationship.
Oh,
So-
amen, amen. And also goes back to what you were talking about earlier, serve, give, and serve our community first, and earn that trust, right? And
Yeah,
then,
yeah.
oh, such a great point.
Check it out.
Yeah.
So Doreen,
Yeah.
Doreen Morin, I can't probably see it, but yeah. So she took a photo of us, and then she
Just like
Send
share
it on the
with them.
DM.
That's
So here we
such
go.
a great tip,
Now we're
For the rest of this
connected forever.
conference, I'm just going to go take pictures of people
With
and share
them, with
with them.
No, it doesn't have to,
And
it doesn't
for
have to
And
be
yeah,
with
yeah,
them,
yeah. That's right. That's right.
Like, because sometimes taking a selfie with someone is like,
Yeah, like for their
especially,
really capture their speaking moment, right? They're in
Yeah,
in their zone genius
yeah,
and talking and
exactly.
sit them like
that's super valuable.
yeah.
Right?
They can
'Cause-
use those as their social proof. Oh, such a great idea.
But that's how you build up their personality. That's how you build up their value, right? And then you're just at that point like a catalyst to help them, and then you're
Yeah.
already coming in with the value.
Yeah.
It's just like why I think podcasts are so undervalued right now,
Yeah.
and because podcasts are such a great way for a nobody like me
Hey, come on.
to connect to amazing people because they have the ability to speak instantly to my 10,000 or so followers, right? Because you're giving them access. You're leveraging your network,
Right.
right?
Right.
And a lot of people don't understand that. And a lot of people get on the podcast bandwagon for the wrong reason because
Yeah.
they want to be cool. The real reason of the podcast value is that you get access to people that you normally wouldn't have.
Yeah.
That's the real value of it.
Oh, I love
Like,
this.
didn't you just get done interviewing some awesome people?
Yeah.
Simon, right? Or who did you
Seth
say?
Godin?
Seth Godin.
Seth Godin.
Simon Sinek.
You're not there yet? Simon,
next
next
week.
week. Simon Sinek.
Next week, yes, guys.
Seth?
Next week,
Okay,
yes.
Okay.
Simon
All right, but the
Sinek.
point is, Seth
Yeah,
Godin, right? Like the ultimate guru of the marketing world, right? Seth, another bald guy, which is another reason why I probably remember him.
But that's like what we've been doing. Like maybe Patty wants to touch on this, but like when we
Yeah.
started doing these like regular weekly Facebook Lives with amazing experts, it opened a lot of
tons of doors, tons of connections.
Absolutely.
And for us, it was just, again, a way to, we knew that the people that we wanted to engage with had great content that we knew would ultimately help Thinkific users.
Absolutely. Yeah, the same thing.
It was a match made in heaven.
That's how I see my personal brand has been growing is after I started my Facebook live show and interviewing all those people, and people associate you with those authorities.
Right.
Yeah. And you are still learning from them, but it's not picking their brain that nobody likes to do.
Yeah.
But you are also giving them a platform to show their social proof.
Right.
And it's really win-win-win situation. Yeah, so I love it.
The picking the brain thing is definitely one of those like pet peeves.
Don't ever use that.
Pick your brains from it.
Don't ever use that.
Get value from you straight away before.
Form of black.
Amazing people. Yes. Oh, great. Yeah.
Any questions before I'm pretty sure we probably will.
It's like
soon,
forever.
So, feel free to ask us any questions or drop any questions here.
And also, I have another question. Tell us more about business card. Do you think they are like a dinosaur? Should we still when we go to networking event? What's the point?
I still think there's some value in a business card. I don't carry them anymore.
I don't. Then what's the value?
I don't. This is awkward.
Oh my god.
We don't normally, literally we printed them for this show. It's cool though. So
there's a time, I think there's always going to be a time and place for it, and you never know, there might be the odd client that has, that may value a business card, right? And so it's nice just to have maybe just a few on hand. It's very unlikely you're going to pull a whole stack unless you're just going to be like...
I think, maybe even at conferences like these, there might be someone in maybe the corporate world that's that's just how they do business.
Yeah.
And so,
having a few maybe...
But usually it's like, hey, just connect with me on LinkedIn or Facebook.
That's what I do. On LinkedIn, there is that feature nearby. You can search people nearby. Oh, that's what I do.
I think LinkedIn...
the QR code.
Yes, the QR code. Don't even give me your...
I think LinkedIn is one of the most undervalued social networks right now.
I agree.
I think
this
LinkedIn
is like
making huge. Yeah, that's a whole other thing.
Live. Yeah.
But right now, the content that I'm doing on LinkedIn gets so much traction.
On there,
and someone wants business card.
I want.
We'll send you one.
So I saw a question. Lucille, she was asking which.
Yeah.
Here, message this guy. Message this guy.
That's my home number.
No. So there's a question. Hey, seriously.
I think he made a good point there. I don't carry business cards anymore. I connect with him on LinkedIn.
Yeah, that's what I do. I don't this totally is so agree. Old age. Come on.
I know.
I'm sorry. So because I never, when I go home, I don't ever check my business card. And I forget you should put your picture there at least. Because I resonate with photos so much better than they say.
Okay, there you go. See, okay, let's turn this little lemon into some lemonade.
Yeah, there we go.
If you are one of those people that collects all sorts of business cards from people afterwards, do something with them afterwards. Here's back to the follow-up advice. Go on LinkedIn, go on Facebook, connect with them. And you know what? I always use a joke, although it's not a joke. It's like last night at the dinner party, there was like 20 of those people that were like, hey, I want to connect with you, whatever. And I saw maybe after you tagged them, like another 5 or 6 added me. Yeah. But I've been pegged at the 5,000 friend limit for like almost 2 years, right? Yeah, sure.
So Mr. Popular? Yes, go ahead.
So what I do is one of my little marketing employees, and it's funny as hell, by the way, is I say, you know what? You're cool. I'm going to get one of my friends for you.
Seriously?
And the funny part is it's a true story. But I always try to delete like 20 to 25 people on my friends list every time I come to an event because it sucks when you someone tries to add you and they're like, oh, because you lose the opportunity because they can't. They're just a follower, and then it's a pain in the butt to go in your followers and try and add someone back,
Yeah. Okay.
So I've got an honest question.
We do have. Yeah, go ahead.
When you're doing that, is there a way to filter who's the least engaged?
Oh, it's the worst.
It's who do you pick?
There's Chrome extensions for that, but they're all sketchy.
Okay.
It's tough. It's tough.
So here's a real question. Okay.
You know what I do?
Right.
Last tip, if you have too many friends, go to birthdays, upcoming birthdays, and then you can find out through people on their birthdays. Right? When it comes to your birthday month, you better start posting on somebody's wall.
There we go.
But that probably is not going to be like most of my audience, we don't have that. Okay, we wish
yet.
You
start posting more content, and you'll get it.
Okay,
so this question, best platform for podcasting.
Yeah. Lucille Fisher asked, what is the best platform for podcasting?
I don't know that.
Answers on the back of the postcard.
I've heard. I mean, it really depends who you ask.
I mean, like, I have a live streaming show. Is that a podcast?
Sort of.
Yeah. Like right now.
Traditional podcasts.
Yeah, I think they're talking.
I think most people. I mean, my clients are using like Libsyn, and then they're using Libsyn to push it out. I know a couple of my clients are using Anchor.
Yeah. Anchor, I heard, is super easy to use, right?
Free.
Yeah, for me, I love video. Like, I feel like video captures my personality better. That's why I think that works for me.
I think one of the things that's cool about video, too, is that you can turn it into audio.
Exactly. You can just download,
So if you use, like, Zoom, for example, if you use Zoom to host maybe your webinars or your video and stuff, you can download the file, and it actually gives you a separate audio file, which you can also send off to someone to transcribe or into a transcribe service, and then you've got either a blog post or your subtitles done, and then tons of times you can repurpose that content.
That's right.
Yeah, and here's another question, guys, and we are wrapping up. Okay, this is like the longest live streaming I have ever done. Yeah,
influencers every day.
Yeah, influencers.
Well, if you agree with this influencer here, it's great.
There's so many fake. Do you feel that way? There are so many fake influencers.
There's so many.
I don't know.
So many people that have bot followers.
Amen. Yeah.
You've got to look at I use the you have subscribers, and then obviously you can look at how engaged posts are, how many likes, how many comments. I look at it like a stadium. So your stadium is basically the number of seats that you've got. Your subscribers is the number of seats you've got in your stadium, but the number of fans that turn up are the ones that actually are.
Drop.
Finally, my first one.
Yo!
I remember my first mic drop.
This guy. Saved the best for last.
This is good. Yeah.
He's like, if it made you sit back, my job is done.
You should do a wave for that.
But it is true.
That is true.
100%.
Right. It's all about engagement. It's not about subscribers.
I've seen so many people. I'm not joking. I've seen YouTube channels with 2, 3, 400,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
And then I saw the video likes, and it's 40, 100. Now, obviously, it could be a really legit reason why. I'm gonna guess.
Yeah.
I'd say it's Mr. Bot, Mr. and Mrs. Bot.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be harder and harder to be fake. Do you feel that way?
Yeah.
I think it's easy to find out fakes now.
Yes.
And I think that documentary Fire that came out was an eye opener for a lot of influencers too.
Put a big spotlight. I've worked in the e-commerce affiliate marketing influencer management world before I got into online courses, and sometimes it's not about the size of followers, it's about how engaged they are, but you've got to make sure that the value that these influencers are driving by either association or by the posts that they do isn't really delivering value for your audience, right? Yeah. Because even if they just say, "Hey, I'm Paddy McGill, and I love using Thinkific, go check them out." What is that? Is that really valuable? Is that a valuable endorsement?
Yeah.
So you have to make sure you can figure out again. Can this person really help out my tribe and community?
Yeah. I love that. And speaking of that, I also feel like when you are watching other people's content, and if you are trying to get their attention, when you are leaving really meaningful comments, right? And that's such a great way to stand out, right? Even for you always get hundreds of comments. But when you see one that is really meaningful, do you feel like you want to pay more attention?
Oh,
yeah.
Because so I went. This might sound super weird for some people, but when you are posting content, you're training your audience. And
I love that.
And when you give more attention to people that write more long comments and have really strong engagement, what that does is all your other followers and all your other commenters say, "Wow, Jeff is paying more attention to this person. Why?"
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's the same way, one of the reasons why I get hundreds of comments on my stuff is because I actually care I actually engage with people in my network, and I post really useful content in the network, right? And then when people comment, they know I'm going to get back to them, that I value their opinion. I might not always agree with it, but I value the opinion nonetheless.
Awesome. Really good.
Yeah.
Really good.
This is amazing. Yeah.
One last question for you guys. Follow-ups. Let's wrap it up with follow-ups after conferences. Are you guys doing a lot of business talk here? Or are you just getting to know relationships and then you do the business talk in the follow-up?
I try to do a mix.
A little bit of both?
Yeah. Like I told you guys last night before we leave, I want to talk about my copywriting course.
Yeah, but we didn't actually talk about it. We were like, hey, I want to talk about it.
That's
after.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think when you go to a party and stuff and you like take over the whole scene and like, hey, let's talk business in the back. It's kind of like that weird speakeasy type deal, you know?
Yeah.
So I think
there's always a time and place, right? I think a lot of times you just got to gauge when it's when it's the right time. I think it will. The opportunity will present itself accordingly.
Yeah.
I'm believing that.
I think the polite way is, hey, really like what you're doing on whatever. I have some ideas that we could collab together. Let me get your name and number or whoever. Let me get your, let's connect on Instagram or LinkedIn or whatever that method may be for you. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But the point is that setting the expectation goes back to that.
Yeah.
People like it when you set expectations.
Just if you say you're going to do something, just bloody do it.
Yeah.
So, how many times, hey,
Yes.
I'll get back in touch and.
Thanks, Vicky.
You know what? That reminds me of this saying. The best time to plant a tree was like 10 or 100 years ago. The second best time is now.
Yeah. Nice. That's
do
a
it.
good way to end it.
Good way. Thank you so much for joining the longest ever live streaming. And thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks,
everyone.
Vicky. Thanks,
Thank
Shabal.
you.
Thank you, everyone.
Enjoy. Bye.
Sorry. No, come on. We're just wrapping up. Thanks, Sai. Hey, how are you?
This is actually very cool.
We're having fun.
This is cool. Nice to hire you tomorrow.
Hey, she was watching us on YouTube.
Are you?
I can finally eat for the day. We should get some food, me and you.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. This is Patty, Jeff, I. How are you?
I'm great. Yeah, this is.
weather.
I
Like,
don't know. Right, so my hands are really good. I've been to Ireland.
It's actually my first time here.
It's like home.
Well, like I didn't come to this.
Jeff, buddy.
I've been planning.
Mother Nature.
What's the name?
Good. Yeah, I'm already like very stimulated and excited. So
Yeah.
I have like I'm a really big extrovert. So I tell people myself, and then I get like really
I am
tired.
as well. I'm like.
I get like extrovert hangovers.
Yeah, I always have.
You go home and you're like, nobody talked to me for 2 days.
No, I never